3 gamers were sitting in an arcade when they spotted a quiet pro player. One of them said, "I'm going to mess with him." He walked over, tapped him on the shoulder, and said, "I heard your favorite game is totally trash." The player replied calmly, "Oh really? Didn't know that." The guy returned, confused. "I insulted his favorite game, and he didn't care." The second gamer said, "You're doing it wrong. Watch this." He walked over and said, "I heard your favorite game is full of bugs and glitches." The player nodded. "Oh wow, I didn't know that. Thanks for telling me." The second gamer came back shocked. "You're right, he doesn't react to anything." The third gamer said, "I'll get him." He walked over, tapped him on the shoulder, and said, "I heard your favorite game was made by beginners." The player smiled and said, "Yeah, that's what your friends were trying to tell me." A lonely young boxer, desperate to prove himself, was looking for easy wins. At the gym, he spotted a skinny rookie. He stepped into the ring, threw a few quick punches, and the fight was over in seconds. The rookie stumbled out, dazed, and said, "I'm a beginner, and that was a quick spinner." But the boxer wasn't satisfied. Next, he challenged a slightly tougher opponent. They sparred a bit longer, punches flying, crowd getting into it. The opponent walked out rubbing his jaw and said, "I'm a contender, and I felt the pressure." Still, that wasn't enough. Finally, the boxer called out the biggest, toughest fighter in the gym. Everyone gathered around, knowing this would be different. The bell rang, and the ring exploded with action. Heavy punches, loud thuds, chaos everywhere. Moments later, the young boxer stumbled out, bruised, swollen, barely standing. From inside the ring, the big fighter called out, "I'm a champ, and you chose the wrong camp." 4 old coworkers had been going on the same fishing trip every year for over 30 years. 2 days before the trip, Mike's boss suddenly says, "That's it, Mike, you're not taking leave this year." His friends were disappointed, but figured that was the end of it. 2 days later, the 3 of them arrive at the lakeside, and there's Mike. Boat ready, chairs set up, food already cooking. They stare at him and say, "Mike, how did you convince your boss to let you come?" Mike grins and says, "Well, last night I was working late when someone turned off the lights and said, 'Guess who?' When I turned around, the office was decorated, fancy setup, lights, everything. Then I was handed a bunch of paperwork and told to handle it however I wanted." He pauses, takes a sip of his drink, and says, "So, here I am." A concert pianist was hired to perform at a small, quiet retirement home for an elderly resident who had no family or visitors. It was to be a simple, private performance, just the staff and a few residents. Unfamiliar with the route, the pianist got completely lost on the way. And stubborn as ever, he refused to stop and ask for directions. By the time he finally arrived, he was an hour late. He saw a few staff members taking a break nearby and a small setup ready, but no audience, no organizer, no introduction. Feeling embarrassed, he apologized to the staff and walked over to the piano that had been set up in the common room. He said, "I won't take long, but this feels like the right thing to do." The staff gathered around casually as he began to play. He poured his heart into every note, soft melodies, emotional pieces, and heartfelt classics. By the time he finished his final piece, the room was silent, many of the staff visibly moved and wiping away tears. The pianist nodded respectfully, packed up, and headed for the door. Just as he opened it, he overheard one of the staff say, "Well, I'll be darned, 20 years working here, and that's the first time the lounge has ever sounded like that." Grinning face with smiling eyes. Attorney, "Doctor, before you performed the autopsy, did you check for a pulse?" Witness, "No." Attorney, "Did you check for blood pressure?" Witness, "No." Attorney, "Did you check for breathing?" Witness, "No." Attorney, "So, then it is possible that the patient was alive when you began the autopsy?" Witness, "No." Attorney, "How can you be so sure, doctor?" Witness, Because his brain was sitting on my desk in a jar. Attorney, I see, but could the patient have still been alive, nevertheless? Witness, yes, it is possible that he could have been alive and practicing law.
That was funny. Hope you enjoyed it.